Hey, my name is Stephen Bowles,
Carly Timby.
the Carly Timby, and we wanted to take a moment and let you know that A, we're engaged, getting married May 16th.
If you haven't already heard.
If you haven't heard the word, if you haven't heard it or liked it on Facebook. And we wanted to take a moment and just kind of share with you our story and kind of how we got here. And so it starts from the very beginning.
From the very beginning. Starts from the very beginning. Well, we met at church, at our church summit. I typically used to go to the 10:45 service, and he would go to the 6. But one Sunday, I actually went to the 6 instead of the 10:45 because I had something that morning, and ended up meeting him there. And at the end of the night, got my business card because I gave him my business card, not my number, and actually called me at work. And we ended up going out. So we had decided to meet up for coffee on Park Avenue, which is a beautiful street.
It's awesome. Great
here
first
in Florida,
date.
if you guys know it. But when we arrived at Barney's on Park Avenue, it actually was closed.
Only time I've ever seen it closed.
And we've
ever.
walked by it multiple times since then. It's open.
Yep.
So I'm not sure why it was closed that night, but it was. And right next door to Barney's was just a cute little wine bar.
Yola Wine Bar.
Called the Yola Wine Bar. He was like, well, do you want to go here instead? Kind of testing the waters to see if I drink wine. But I said yes, and so we went there and ended up talking for about 4 hours that night. And
We talked about Lost, J.J. Abrams,
it's your favorite
Alias, and she hearts peanut butter, which is a big heart love of mine too. So I was just love at first sight naturally.
Oh gosh.
And then she grew up internationally. She's got that international flair, and I'm like, woo, this woman, this girl is amazing. So
fast forward to 9 months later. So we drove 10 hours in the car after he had been gone already for 3 weeks.
which that's a great test for any engagement to be, is if you can make the 10-hour drive. That's one thing. We did 2 there and back.
Yes. So we
That's
did
fun.
10 hours in the car, spent some days with my family, and then drove actually to the cabin, which was about 4 hours away from my brother's house, and spent the next couple of days with his parents up there, and then drove back to Orlando.
And it was on that drive back that the Lord just moved in me and just made it very clear that it was time to start preparing and do all the logistics for engagement. And so she thought it was going to be more like 12 months away, so that was going to be November, and it's, middle of September or 1st of September. And so I started thinking it through, and I'm sitting there going, all right, I think October 3rd is probably going to be best. It's very clear, like God just kind of lifted that date up or that weekend as an opportunity to do it. And so we went into strategy mode those last 30 days trying to, I hadn't even really...
He went into strategy
Yes.
mode. I didn't go into strategy
She went
mode.
into I don't have a clue mode, and which is exactly what you want. I also really wanted to get David and Giselle's permission and blessing on this, and so ended up having a show in Chicago, and ended up calling and fibbing a little bit to Carly and telling her it got extended by a day, and then flew to New York City and had breakfast with David and Giselle, and got their permission and their blessing, and that was an honor to have that from them. And so then flew back and just kind of continued working through the logistics. And so then we arrive on October 3rd, my dirty 30.
So, of course, it's his 30th, and so I said yes, and he picked me up after work.
Yep. Picked her up right after work and actually had an umbrella that broke. It was like the bad start to the night. But I was walking. She called me out on it, actually, because I was walking ahead of her when we were going to Yola Wine Bar. And it's because I had this giant ring in my pocket, and I didn't want her, and we just walked next to each other to kind of, bump into it. And then when I ended up sitting across from her at a table, she's like, "Are you okay? Is everything going okay?"
And he was just really tired, and it just
My
was like
mind's
there was something up, but I didn't ever think he's going to propose. I just thought it was a long week, and he just kind of out of it, which I was sad about because it was his 30th, and I wanted it to be a good night. But I was okay with it. But he recreated our first date and took me to Yola Wine, and we were just going to get a drink and appetizers there. And he said, "Let's get dinner somewhere else, but let's walk a little bit first before we get dinner."
When I left, I'm calling Mikey B, who's my man on the ground, boots on the ground, and he's working with Margaret, Cole, Jason, a whole bunch of her friends, Maggie, stuff. and they're all prepared and preparing the scene over in the Rose Garden in Park Avenue, the park right there, Central Park. And so we start walking through, and I'm kind of taking my time, and I gave Mikey B a call, and it was his cue. So yeah, as we start walking up, there's like a landing strip of lights left and right on the sidewalk as you're walking in. And I'm just kind of going, babe, you see this? This is really beautiful.
And I'm going, sure.
She's like, eh.
Yeah, it's Park Ave. I'm sure there's something going on here tonight.
And it wasn't until we literally land in the, X marks the spot. We're in a heart made out of candles.
Under the archway.
Right under the archway. It was beautiful. And you can hear Celine Dion playing, or sort of playing. She's kind of breaking up with Bluetooth audio. There's probably us in the way with the audio.
Yeah.
We're standing in the middle of this heart made out of candles, and I go, babe, you ready? And you can kind of just see that she just kind of all locked into place for a moment there. And so, yeah, shared with her all the reasons, the millions of awesome things it is about her, the things that I love about her. And I even did this fun little thing where I said, I knew when I first saw you, I knew when we, on our first date, I knew when we flew to New York City and got your parents' permission, and now as I drop on my knee, I know that I love you and that I want to spend the rest of my life with you. And she said, for sure, Flo.
I'm white.
She said
Not
yes.
what I said.
It's a beautiful night.
And so everyone bum rushes out because she doesn't know anyone else is there. So literally 30 people, or 30 people, like 10 or 15 people just kind of come out with fireworks, and they come around us. And Mikey B comes out still trying to play the Bruno Mars song, I Think I Want to Marry You. And it was just really, really special. And her parents were actually being live Skyped by my mom on her iPad mini with cellular or whatever. And so as we were, kind of positioning, they were getting closer and closer and closer. And we're able to watch the whole thing, which was really, really special.
And then he actually surprised me even more and flew another one of my good friends down from New York City, Amy, and I had no idea she was going to be there. So I all of a sudden saw her and kind of freaked out.
Freaked out. It's kind of funny.
So he had helped fly her in, so she was able to spend the whole weekend here. But then we, after a brief, overwhelming moment and saying hi to everyone, we all walked down the street to a restaurant that he had reserved.
Yep.
And there were even more of our friends there, just celebrating, and it was decorated, and just Stephanie had baked, and Maggie had baked all these gluten-free cookies, and it was a really special moment. So, anyways.
And here we are now, engaged, and we're getting married in a couple months. And I just want to say, hey, thank you for everyone who was a part of that story, and who helped put that together that night in particular. We got into strategy logistics with me.
And I saw some of the emails he sent out, and they were very detailed and very incredible.
On a tight ship.
He was on top of every little detail going into it. So pulled it off without me knowing until literally right before it happened. And it's pretty awesome. So anyways, we love you all. Yep. We wish you could have all been there. But hopefully this video will give you a little taste of what happened. And May 16th is the wedding, so prayers means a lot to just prepare for marriage, and we want it to be Christ-centered, and we want just our marriage to be something that glorifies the Lord. So thank you.
Hearts, love, bye. Thanks.
Is it this dancing juice?